The modern sleep experiment. I'm writing this because I don't know how much time I have left. If you're reading this, it's already too late for me. Maybe it's too late for everyone. About a month ago, I was approached by an old college friend, Ethan, who now works for a high-end tech startup. It was one of those companies that specialized in the kind of research that never gets talked about. Ethan was cagey about the details, but he said they had a groundbreaking project that needed volunteers, people who could handle stress and isolation. The payout? Enough to erase my student loans, and then some. I signed up. I wish I hadn't. They called it the Cognition Accelerator Program. In the age of AI, where even machines had limits, they wanted to see if humans could surpass them. The goal was simple: keep us awake for 30 days straight. It sounds insane, I know, but the technology they had seemed revolutionary. VR gear synced to brainwaves, neural stimulators designed to keep the mind active without sleep. Supposedly, it was all tested. Supposedly, no one was in danger. We were placed in isolation pods, soundproof, windowless, climate-controlled. I had access to VR headsets, streams of media, games, even social interaction through chat rooms and avatars. The pods were stocked with food, water, and anything I could want, except sleep. Whenever I felt tired, a gentle zap would course through my brain, waking me right up. The scientists monitored everything through cameras and biometric sensors, assuring me that if anything went wrong, they'd be right there. The first week was a breeze. The VR was impressive, more immersive than anything I'd ever used. I played games, watched endless shows, and interacted with faceless others in virtual worlds. We were even encouraged to interact with fellow test subjects. But the more I talked to them, the stranger things became. By the end of the second week, I started noticing odd things in the VR. Sometimes avatars would glitch out, people's faces would flicker and distort, and their voices would sound off, like they were speaking through water. One time, I was in a digital lobby chatting with another test subject, someone I hadn't met before. His avatar, a smiling, cartoonish face, started repeating my words back to me in a delayed, jumbled order. I thought it was a bug. I reported it. The scientist told me it was a known issue, and to keep going. But it wasn't just in the virtual space. Something changed inside me too. It started subtle. When I closed my eyes, even for a second, I would see fleeting, horrible images, bodies twisting unnaturally, faces staring at me with hollow eyes, mouths open in silent screams. My heart would race and I'd jerk awake, as if I'd fallen asleep without realizing it. The neural stimulators kept shocking me back into alertness, but I wasn't tired anymore. I was scared. The third week is when the real nightmare began. I woke up, or at least I think I did, to find myself standing outside the pod, looking at my own sleeping body. I panicked, tried to reach out, but my hand passed through the glass like smoke. I screamed, but no one could hear me. Then just as suddenly, I was back in my body, gasping for breath. It didn't feel like a dream. It was too real. Things started spiraling after that. The glitches in the VR became more frequent, but the scientists wouldn't address it. People, avatars I thought I knew, began acting violently. I would log into a virtual world only to be attacked by them, their faces contorted into grotesque mockeries of humanity. In one instance, I was cornered by a group of them, their eyes bloodshot and their mouths leaking black tar. They told me, in voices that sounded like nails scraping glass, that I was next. I tried to tell Ethan, but the connection with the outside world was cut off. All my communications, even outside of VR, were filtered. I couldn't tell what was real anymore. My reflection in the pod's glass would twist and warp, smiling at me when I wasn't smiling back. Then I started hearing it, the whispers. At first they were faint, just at the edge of my hearing, like the sound of a TV on in another room. But the more I tried to ignore them, the louder they got. They spoke in a language I couldn't understand, but I knew they were talking about me. I tried ripping off the neural stimulators, but they wouldn't come off. The zaps kept coming, keeping me awake, keeping me alert. But for what? Yesterday, the VR stopped working altogether. Now it's just static, a deafening hum that drills into my skull. I've pounded on the walls, screamed into the camera, begged them to let me out. No one's responded. But I'm not alone. I hear movement outside the pod. Faint, scuffling noises. Sometimes I see shadows passing by, lingering just outside my line of sight. I haven't seen another person in days, at least not one I can trust to be real. The whispers are louder now, insistent, like they're just on the other side of the wall. They say my name, over and over again. Something's wrong with the others. I caught a glimpse of one of the other test subjects through a glitch in the pod camera feed. He wasn't moving. His eyes were wide open, staring at the ceiling. But I knew he was still alive. I saw him blink, but his mouth was sewn shut. Or maybe he had done it himself. I'm not sure anymore. I don't think the experiment was about sleep deprivation at all. I think they were trying to open something, some part of our minds that was never meant to be unlocked. They've let something in, something that feeds on us when we're too weak to fight it. I'm scared to close my eyes now, not because I might fall asleep, but because I might not wake up. Or worse, I'll wake up somewhere else, somewhere I can't come back from. If anyone finds this, don't trust them. Don't trust the voices, the shadows, even the people who look like your friends. They're not who you think they are. And whatever you do, don't let them keep you awake. End of transmission.